Greetings. This is Top Hat and Buttered Popcorn. My name is John Savers. I'm your host, and today we'll take a look at a couple of films, beginning with Mystic River. This is a Malpaso production directed by Clint Eastwood. It stars Sean Penn, Kevin Bacon, Tim Robbins, Marcia Gay Harden, and Laurence Fishburne. I thought that the actors were very credible. I thought they gave a very good performance, making this a film which, though gloomy, I think worth seeing. I believe it's fair to describe Clint Eastwood as Hollywood's leading misanthrope. It is well named his production company, Malpaso, which I think can be translated bad trip. The most salient message, as it were, which issues from this particular film is that one can't escape one's history. There is a group of lads in this particular film at the outset playing the young versions of the main actors, and I thought they were credible. They looked pretty much the part, and I thought they added to it a little bit. You can't count on Hollywood in this regard in their casting. At any rate, we think it's thumbs up, so to speak, for the acting area. And the film was, though gloomy, interesting to look at. The storyline is something like this, that three lads in a working class Boston neighborhood have a fateful encounter with some villains, one which victimizes one of the boys and affects his thinking, his psychology thereafter in a marked way. But it also affected the other two boys, and it had an influence that was ongoing. The film then takes into the adult realm, where we see the three, Sean Penn, Kevin Robbins, Kevin Bacon and Tim Robbins, in their contemporary existence. The three are no longer tight, actually. They've drifted apart. But they are brought once again into a tighter circle with the death of the daughter of Sean Penn's character by murder. The investigative officer turns out to be Kevin Bacon's character, Sean Devine, and the number one suspect becomes Tim Robbins' character, Dave Boyle. So these events kind of work in such a way as to suggest that people cannot escape their family history or their environment or indeed their biology, and that there is a kind of a doom. There is the possibility, the potential to elude, but in point of fact, eluding does not occur. So there's a kind of a destiny here, but at any rate, the film opens up with a shot of the lads playing in their neighborhood, and the event in which the boy, Dave Boyle, is taken off by some villains and molested. Subsequently, we get a cut from this terrible event to contemporary times. We see basically Sean Penn as the leading element in this story, the focus. He has been married a couple of times. He had a daughter by his first wife and 2 daughters by his present wife. At one time, he referred to his first wife, in the presence of his second, as a Spanish or Latin lass, a woman of remarkable beauty and presence. She had a carriage that would intimidate all the other fellows, but not Sean Penn's character, Jimmy Markham. He approached her, wooed, won her, and they were married and had a daughter named Katie, and then he lost his wife, and then subsequently he loses Katie. He seems to have a special fancy for Katie too, as perhaps embodying some of the special elements he sees in the first wife. I thought this was rather strange because in the unfolding of the story, the depiction of the wife he has now is one of a woman who's quite strong and who is a kind of a kingmaker, as it were. At one time she tells her husband that he could rule this town, that he was a king, that he was someone almost above the petty needs or obligations of ordinary people. And I think it would be hard-placed to find a woman who is more queen-like in terms of ruthlessness and power and a sense of power than this woman. And yet it's not at all recognized apparently by Sean Penn, who nevertheless is somewhat soothed by her stories about his greatness, his potential, and so forth, how his obligations are above those of others, that there is almost like a God-king mythos which she weaves about him. And he is above repentance, above sin, and therefore above repentance. He is, however, hardly king-like in this film. He operates a convenience store on a corner in the same general neighborhood he grew up in. He also sells booze there. And he seems to be working a clandestine, opportunistic criminal empire gang dealing with heist and robberies of one kind or another, fencing, and perhaps drugs. He's also somebody who is capable of great violence. We see his character, as being almost instinctual in his approach. Now this kind of contrasts with the Kevin Bacon character, who is a college man. He is a symbol of rationalism, I think. He is methodical, practical in his approach as a police officer. He is partnered with a fellow named Whitey Powers, played by Laurence Fishburne. Fishburne plays his character in a sober and understated sort of way, sometimes even stone-faced. This is somewhat remarkable because Laurence Fishburne is capable of virtually stealing a film with his interpretations of character. At any rate, they do form a team which is practical, rational, methodical in its approach, and we therefore see the Kevin Bacon character more or less as a symbol in this film of the rational element in life. But he is also somebody who is one of the three who was affected by events as a boy. The others are affected in their minds one way or another, a loss of innocence, a loss of love, loss of hope, some kind of loss. In this particular film, we see Kevin Bacon as his character, Sean Devine, is not untouched by this. It does not seem that anybody in a Clint Eastwood film is going to get away free. He has a wife who is sort of an absentee wife. She left him, took the child for reasons that are obscure. She calls him up from time to time on the phone, but her troubled feelings within are not articulable, and she cannot really speak on the phone. And he knows who it is who's on the other side and so forth, but there is sometimes just nothing but a little sound of pain almost, of inability to reach out, a desire to, but an inability to connect for some reason at this point in time. Well, these calls have a way of disturbing the Kevin Bacon character and kind of an interference in his mental well-being. Tim Robbins' character, Dave Boyle, is the grown-up version of the victimized lad. And in this particular film, he seems to suggest the psychologically complex as opposed to the rational of Bacon or the instinctual of Penn. And so we have these three. And we have also a history in which we have a character named Jimmy Ray Harris, as I recall, who is never met in this film, but whose influence is felt throughout the film. He was at one time a kind of partner of the youthful Jimmy Markham, and they were involved in criminal activity. And this Jimmy Ray Harris finked, as I recall, on Jimmy, and it caused Jimmy to do some time. And subsequently, Jimmy Markham appears to have murdered this Jimmy Ray Harris at the shoreline of the Mystic River. Incidentally, for many, life forms first seem to arise from bodies of water such as the Mystic River. In this particular film, we have Sean Penn taking men to this very edge and withdrawing their life and casting it back into the water. And therefore we have the river as the way of life and the way of death. We have the character Sean Penn, also aided and abetted by a couple of brothers known as the Savage Brothers, fairly well named. They are people who do not intend to labor in any kind of normal way, not when there's plenty of loot to be stolen. So they are part of his milieu, and therefore it's pretty good guess that he is indeed operating a clandestine mini empire of crime. It seems likely also that his chum from boyhood, Sean Devine, understands that Sean Penn has not really changed. He's still basically a criminal and so forth. And at one point in the film, there is an interchange between the two which suggests that Sean Devine is warning Jimmy Markham that the day will come when he will take him down. But at any rate, the Sean Penn character is pretty slick. I will say also in this particular film that his crowd, Jimmy Markham's crowd, certainly favors leather, and they're all dressed up in that We also see Jimmy is a pretty hard drinker here in the film, particularly after the demise of his daughter, the murder of his daughter, Katie. However, in looking at these particular characters, the Savage brothers, Dave, Boyle, and so forth, they all seem rather game to be knocking down Boilermakers and whatnot. Straight up jiggers and that sort of thing. So we have the moment arise of the terrible event. We have the Katie daughter as a live wire, pretty young woman going about town. She's something of a princess in the neighborhood due to her dad. She's not somebody who is intimidated easily. She's a bold lass. She also is having a romantic relationship with the son of Jimmy Ray Harris. In fact, they are in love, and in fact, they are planning to elope to Las Vegas to marry and start up a new life, perhaps, to get away from the family feuding, so to speak. Of course, Las Vegas seems to be Hollywood's symbol of the burial ground of those who are headed for oblivion. At any rate, she is having to keep this clandestine because her father would not put up with this, would not tolerate the idea of her in love with marrying the son of Jimmy Ray Harris. Also, this boy, the son of Jimmy Ray Harris, all crazy in love with Katie. Now, and this boy has a brother, a little brother, who is something of a strange creature, apparently with a speech defect of some sort. They use signs, and it's kind of sealed the two brothers a little bit closer. And this brother also has a chum that he runs around with. Well, the ill-fated Katie is just at the wrong place at the wrong time and is murdered. And it's only a day or so before she was planning to elope with the son of Jimmy Ray Harris. When Sean Penn's character finds out about this, he is enraged on the one hand and deeply sorrowful on the other. His drinking increases, his desire for blood revenge increases. He sends out his team, this brothers Savage, to try to nose about, find out what they could about who did this. He is certain that he's going to kill whoever did it. When the law shows up and the investigation turns out to be under the control of his old chum, Sean Devine, he tells Sean, get this man, and so forth. And he's assured that Sean Devine will do the best he can. Whitey Powers is not quite as taken with this guy. He views him basically as scum, I guess, a criminal, no good fellow and stuff like this. Somebody should be put behind bars. But with Sean Devine in control, there is a working relationship. Now, all eyes begin to turn on Dave Boyle because of an event that occurred. Now, Boyle's character, Tim Robbins, gives an outstanding performance, I think, depicting this disturbed fellow. He has a detached personality and a way about him that's a little strange. He is subject to flashbacks of the awful event where he was held for about 4 days and abused. He often tells stories, as a matter of fact, to his son, bedtime stories in which This is alluded to in the form of tales about a boy trying to escape from werewolves and vampires. At one point he says that when vampires get you, you're never the same again. And another time he refers to the men who had abused him as werewolves and vampires and so forth. So we see this as with him and get a sense of what it has done to him. He nevertheless seems to be a good father, and he was apparently fairly successful as an athlete in the area of baseball, encouraging his son to do the same. His son seems to feel that he's a little inadequate as an athlete, but Dave assures him he has the Boyle touch. He'll be real good. Dave Boyle's wife is not so thick with him as say Sean Penn's wife is with him. It may well be that the quality of detachment and so forth, the fact that Boyle seems to have spells, flashbacks, to be a little weird, all of these things have a way of engendering a kind of a separateness between him and his wife. She just can't understand him. That's the main thing. And it's something that perhaps he can't ever explain. So when he comes home one night with blood all over his shirt and whatnot, and bruise marks, a gash, I think, she is a little disturbed. She helps him out and so forth like this, but it sticks in his mind. And when she learns that Katie has been murdered and it was a bloody matter and it was about the same night, she leaps to conclusions and she thinks on her husband, to, of all people, Jimmy Markham. Jimmy Markham, in fact, point blank asked her, "Do you think Dave killed my Katie?" And she seems to indicate yes. Well, now, this pretty much seals it with Boyle. The Savage boys drive by in a late model vehicle. They see Boyle, who works with his hands. He's a laborer, walking home, and they invite him out for a snort, and he agrees, but he has to get back a certain time, but sure, he'll have a couple of drinks. They go to a favorite place, kind of remote, not far from the Mystic River, in fact, tight to it, where they have drinks and can pretty much be themselves without disturbance. And they sit at a table and begin to drink straight up and whatnot. It doesn't take a whole lot of this before Boyle begins to get a little drunk. He has not eaten and so forth. He feels a little nauseated and goes back toward the river outside to try to make himself feel better. Sean Penn's character has appeared in the meantime and joined them, and they subsequently follow out the rear, where we find Dave Boyle has just finished getting rid of some irritants in his stomach, and they confront him, and then Jimmy Markham brings up this matter of Katie. Did you kill Katie, and so forth. I'll forgive you if you'll just own up to it. Just say that you did it. I have peace of mind to know you did it. I'll forgive you. And at first, Dave is saying, no, I didn't do it. No, it was not that. In point of fact, he had beaten up a pederast that he encountered and sent the lad off running and beat up the man pretty badly. And this was the cause of the blood which he had gotten on his clothes. But in trying to relate what really happened, he becomes confused and so forth, intimidated, and he finally owns up that, he killed Katie. And then Jimmy Markham sticks him in the abdomen, and a fatal blow, and we see Dave Boyle's character kind of backing back, shocked, stunned, and so forth. He dies. Thereafter, we then have a subsequent revelation of the true events to Jimmy Markham. He is somewhat disturbed and disgusted at the fact that he had killed the wrong person and so forth. And he says, is it for sure? I said, yeah. The event becomes certain when the son of Jimmy Ray Harris, who was in love with Katie, is confronting his brother who comes in. He knows that his brother knows something, and he knows that there was some relationship to the death of Katie. And in this confrontation, the chum is also there. The son of Jimmy Ray Harris smacks his bro around a little bit, and particularly the chum. The chum pulls out a gun and is going to shoot this lad when in comes Sean Devine and Whitey Powers, and they stop the lad from killing Jimmy Ray Harris's boy. So they do thereby learn who, in fact, killed Katie. Well, we're just out of time again, folks. A wrap. This is Top Hat and Buttered Popcorn. My name is John Savers. I'm your host. I appreciate your tuning in. Hope to see you again